The year was 4412 by the Galactic Standard Calendar, and Admiral Vrox of the Dominion Fleet had just made the single worst decision of his 600-year military career. He did not know this yet, of course. That was the tragedy of it. "Commander Pella," Vrox said, his three eyes gleaming under the cold blue light of the war bridge, "confirm that the primitive world is fully surrounded." Pella clicked her mandibles in confirmation. "Yes, Admiral. Every orbital lane is blocked. Their communication arrays are silent. The planet called Earth is completely isolated from the rest of the galaxy." "Good," Vrox said, folding all four of his arms behind his back in the universally recognized posture of a being who believes he has already won. "And the dominant species? The ones the survey drones flagged as a potential concern?" Pella pulled up the file on the holographic panel. She read it once. Then she read it again. Then she laughed, because clearly something had gone wrong with the translation software. "They are called humans, Admiral. Bipedal. Soft-skinned. No natural armor, no venom glands, no regenerative tissue, no echolocation, no secondary brain cluster. Average lifespan of approximately 80 rotations." She paused. "They also sleep for 1/3 of every single day." The entire bridge erupted in laughter. Vrox himself let out a long, wheezing cackle that rattled his chest plates. "They sleep? They surrender consciousness for 8 hours at a time and somehow consider themselves a species worth worrying about?" "Sir," said Lieutenant Dren from the weapons console, barely holding himself together, "the survey report also notes that they have no claws. Their teeth cannot pierce standard-grade hull plating. They have no tail." More laughter. Somebody in the back dropped their datapad. "And yet," Vrox said, wiping a tear from his middle eye, "the Galactic Council flagged them as a Level 9 biological caution." "A clerical error, clearly," Pella said. "Clearly," Vrox agreed. "Begin the broadcast. Tell them to surrender all resources, dissolve their planetary governments, and report to their nearest processing station within 48 hours. Standard terms." The broadcast went out at 0600 hours, Earth Standard Time. The response came back in 11 minutes. It said, in very plain language, "No." Vrox stared at the response. "They said no. They said no, Admiral. To us." "Yes, Admiral." A long silence fell over the bridge. Even the environmental systems seemed to hold their breath. "Open a live channel," Vrox said quietly. "I want to speak to one of them directly. Pull whoever is currently in charge of their largest military organization." The screen flickered on. And there she was. A human female. Small by any galactic standard, standing perhaps 1.7 meters tall, with short copper-colored hair and the kind of eyes that looked like they had not slept properly in several days and had absolutely zero intention of starting now. She wore a dark uniform with gold markings on the collar, and she was holding a ceramic cup of some steaming brown liquid, and she looked irritated. Not afraid. Not overwhelmed. Not bargaining. Irritated. "You the guys who just blocked our satellites," she said. Vrox blinked all three eyes in sequence. "I am Admiral Vrox of the Dominion 7th Fleet. You are speaking to the commander of 800 warships, human. I suggest you reconsider your earlier response." The human, whose name badge identified her as General Mira Sato, took a slow sip from her cup. 800, she repeated. "Right. Okay." She looked off to her left. "Renko, how many warheads are we currently sitting on?" A muffled voice from somewhere off-screen replied, "Counting the suborbital stockpile, ma'am?" "About 40,000. Mira nodded thoughtfully and looked back at the screen. 40,000, she said to Vrox. "Those are surface explosives," Vrox said. "We have orbital shielding. Your primitive warheads cannot breach our dash." Yeah, I know, Mira interrupted. I wasn't pointing them at you. The bridge went very, very quiet. Then, Vrox said slowly, where exactly are they pointed? Mira set her cup down on the desk with a soft clink that, somehow, sounded like a declaration of war. That's the thing about humans, Admiral, she said. We've been pointing weapons at each other for so long, we got very, very creative about it. She leaned forward slightly. We have 40,000 reasons why you do not want to make us angry enough to stop caring what happens to our own planet. Vrox's secondary brain cluster, the one responsible for threat assessment, sent him a signal he had not received in 4 centuries. It told him to run. Admiral Vrox did not run, of course. He was a decorated military commander with 6 centuries of conquest behind him, and running from a soft-skinned biped who slept 8 hours a day and had no tail was simply not something he was prepared to add to his legacy. So instead, he made his second worst decision of the day. He laughed again. You are bluffing, Vrox said, spreading 2 of his arms wide in the Dominion gesture that loosely translated to, I find you adorable and also beneath me. He gestured at the tactical display beside him. We have scanned your surface weapons. Your delivery systems are slow. Your warheads are crude. And your species cannot even agree on what temperature your planet should be. You expect me to believe you are a unified threat? General Mira Sato looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the kind of smile that a creature produces when it has been waiting, very patiently, for someone to say exactly the wrong thing. Unified, she said. Oh, Admiral. We are absolutely not unified. She picked her cup back up. That is, genuinely, your problem. Vrox opened his mouth. Then closed it. Then opened it again. Explain, he said, because some part of his threat assessment brain was screaming at him now, and he had learned, over 600 years, that ignoring that particular voice was how empires ended. Mira leaned back in her chair. You walked up to a species that has been at war with itself since before your civilization learned to write. We have spent thousands of years developing the most efficient, the most creative, and the most horrifyingly creative methods of killing things that this galaxy has probably ever produced. We did not develop those methods for you, Admiral. We developed them for each other. She paused. And then you showed up and gave us a common enemy. The bridge of the Dominion flagship was very silent. Lieutenant Dren, who was young and therefore still capable of fear, whispered, Admiral, I am reading a significant energy spike from the planet's northern continent. And the southern, added the sensor officer, Gorvok, whose voice had gone flat in the particular way that voices go flat when the brain has received information it does not want to process. And the eastern seaboard, Gorvok added. And the... He stopped. Admiral. The energy readings are coming from everywhere. Vrox turned slowly back to the screen. Mira had not moved. She was still sitting in her chair, drinking her brown liquid, watching him with those tired, sharp eyes. What are you doing? Vrox asked. Right now? Nothing, Mira said honestly. But I made some calls while you were busy laughing. See, here is what most species do not understand about humans. We are not dangerous because we are strong. We are not dangerous because we are fast, or armored, or coordinated. She set the cup down again. We are dangerous because we are stubborn, we are creative, and more than anything else in this universe, we deeply, profoundly, do not like being told what to do. On the tactical display behind Vrox, small red indicators began appearing across the planet's surface. Then more. Then more. The display started to look less like a planet and more like a warning sign. Admiral, Gorvok said very quietly, I am now detecting launch signatures. Not warheads. Something else. Smaller. Faster. A pause. A lot of them. Drones, Dren said, his voice cracking slightly. Thousands of them. They are ascending through the atmosphere. They are moving toward our outer perimeter ships. Vrox stared at the screen. Those cannot breach our shielding. No, Mira agreed pleasantly. But they can jam your navigation systems. And your communications relays. And the targeting software on about 60% of your weapons array, if our intelligence on Dominion hardware is correct. She tilted her head. Is it correct, Admiral? You can tell me. I will find out either way in about 4 minutes. Vrox turned to Pella. Pella was staring at her console with the expression of someone who had just realized that the clerical error was not actually a clerical error. Admiral, Pella said slowly, the Galactic Council's Level 9 classification. I am reading the original surveyor's notes. She looked up. The surveyor's final entry before filing the report reads, do not engage. Do not threaten. Do not, under any circumstances, make them feel cornered. They do not have an off switch. The drones hit the outer perimeter at exactly the 4-minute mark. Not a single Dominion shield held. Vrox stood very still on his bridge as system after system across his fleet went dark, one by one, like lights being switched off in a building at the end of a long, long day. The communications array. The targeting grid. The navigational anchors on the left flank. Then the right. He looked at the screen. Mira was watching the same data he was, clearly, because she gave a small nod that suggested the intelligence had been more or less correct. Here is what happens next, she said, and her voice had lost its earlier lightness entirely. It was flat, and even, and certain in the way that mountains are certain. You are going to pull your fleet back past the outer marker. You are going to restore our satellite communications. And you are going to go back to the Dominion Council and tell them exactly what the surveyor told you to tell them. She looked directly into the camera. Tell them we are not a resource. Tell them we are not a colony. Tell them we are still working on ourselves, and the last thing this galaxy wants is for us to finish that project pointing outward. Vrox looked at his darkened tactical display. He looked at the 800 ships of the 7th Fleet, currently sitting blind and partially deaf in orbit around a pale blue world that had, in under 5 minutes, quietly and efficiently taken apart everything he had ever trusted. He thought about 600 years of conquest. He thought about the surveyor's note. He thought about the word stubborn. Pull back, he said quietly. All ships. Full retreat. Pella did not argue. Nobody argued. They had all just watched 40,000 potential disasters and roughly 12,000 drones make the tactical case far better than any of them could with words. As the Dominion fleet began its slow, deeply humiliating withdrawal from Earth's orbit, Vrox looked at the screen one final time. Mira Sato had already picked up her cup again. She glanced at the camera almost as an afterthought, the way someone glances at a door they have already closed. Good choice, she said simply. The channel cut. On the bridge of the retreating flagship, nobody spoke for a very long time. It was Dren, eventually, who broke the silence. He was young, and young beings ask the questions that older ones already know the answers to. Admiral, he said, are they really that dangerous? Or was it all a performance? Vrox watched the pale blue planet shrink on the view screen as the fleet pulled away. He thought about the smile. The cup of brown liquid. The tired eyes. The drones that arrived in exactly 4 minutes. The energy signatures from everywhere, all at once, coordinated across a species that was, by their own admission, not coordinated at all. That, Vrox said, is the most terrifying part, Lieutenant. He turned away from the screen. I genuinely cannot tell. Friends, if you are enjoying our videos and want to watch new and exciting sci-fi and HFY stories every day, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to turn on the bell icon so you never miss any of our latest uploads. Like the video and share it with your friends as well, so our community can continue to grow and bring you even more amazing content.